Hey folks, so today's task is to dig a soakaway in. We've got this gateway to work in. We're going to be using soakaway crates. First we're going to map it out, then we're going to get digging. We've got a load of soil to move, and then hopefully we'll get the gravel backfilled because we've got a load of machinery arriving tomorrow that needs to use this gateway. So we've given ourselves Sunday afternoon to get it done. Well, I've done a bit of maths, so we've got 10 crates. They're about they're a metre in width, so we're going to do two high, 5 long. It does get traffic, it's fine, but we can do most of it over this side. So that's our corner. So we'll come 1.3 to give us 150 side fill, and then we'll go that way by 2.8 metres. Yeah. So we've had a good start. Well, I say a good start. We've come across a big rock down here. I don't think it's concrete. I think it's just a huge bit of sandstone. So we're going to change from doing double height to triple height. So it's going to be a same volume, or maybe 1 crate less. So it'd be 3 by 3. So you can see this corner here. This is all solid stone. So instead of going about 1200 deep, we're actually going to try and go about 1600, 1700 deep, but it'll be a shorter trench. We've got the right width here. We're just piling it there, and then we can use the bucket on the tractor and get a lot of it in there. Some of it will have to go back in here. It's just basically sand, so we can use it for some of the backfill, to be quite honest. It's not clay or soil or anything like that. My brother only came up for Sunday lunch, but you know, make good use of visitors. Careful, dog.
No spots that are going to catch on the second level that aren't.
Oh, that's a good point.
I don't think so.
Up there.
Hmm?
A bit more back. 50 mil more. By the time it's compacted down. Right, I've dug it out enough to fit 8 crates in, which is not quite the 10 we hoped for, but it's fine. We've sliced up to the rock here, can't go any further that way. So we're going to get the membrane in the bottom first. We've got a wider section first, 4 by 4 metres, and then another one that will go the other way, and then we can wrap it up like a present. Oh, it was all going to plan, and then the dumper didn't start, the battery was flat, the jump leads were too short, didn't have a spare battery, didn't have a jump pack. In the end, I managed to tow it out with the tractor just in time, because the next morning about 12 or 15 lorries and trucks turned up to start taking the pylons down. Okay, we're back. It's looking a little bit different and a little bit wider and open than it was before. The soakaway is down here. You saw me backfill it. This is pretty much just pure sand. I was really surprised actually. We've got very sandy soil anyway, but as soon as I was maybe half a metre down, it just turned to sharp sand. So I used a lot of that for the backfill, and then the top has got about 200-300 mil of type 1 on it. But as you can see, it's nice and open now, and what we need to do is finish grading out this. I'm going to do a little bit now, and then I've got another 20-ton load of type 1 coming tomorrow. I think I used 18 tons yesterday doing the driveway. I think I'm going to switch to using the eco blend. That's half recycled aggregate and half virgin sort of quarried stone, because you get through an awful lot. Beginning to realise everything is just a completely different scale, whereas in the past I might have bought 3 or 4 bulk bags of type 1 and that was it for the base of a patio or something. Everything's in lorry loads here and it's getting expensive, so going with the recycled aggregate, especially in areas where it's going to be top dressed for something else, makes sense. So as you can see over here, we've got the drainage sorted as well. This pipe here has been clipped to the concrete wall. It is taking the outlet discharge water from the sewage treatment plant. That is coming along and down into the soakaway. It's above ground pipe, but it's all above ground, so I'm not too concerned about that. A little bit more work to get it fitted to the wall, but the angle worked out just about okay. This last section here, I'll clear everything out the way and I'll probably just shutter in a little bit of concrete under it, or build a small wall around it, or sleepers or something to protect it. I'm going to finish up with the digger now, just grading out the last little bit of this. We'll cut into the grass so we've got a neat strip between the gateway and the field, and then I think we'll call this job done. As I finish up the video a week later on a pretty miserable day, I thought I'd give you a bit of a summary. We've got other soakaways around the farm here. There might even be one kind of here, but a soakaway of yesteryear is kind of just a big pit full of gravel, and what happens over time is that silts up, so all the little sand particles and the silt and the mud and the soil go through and basically clog up all those gaps in between the gravel and just form a big mass, so there's no voids in there for the water. So the idea of using the crates is that that is constant, but the most important bit is wrapping it in that geotextile so none of that silt and particles can get in there to clog it up. We cut a cross in there, or like a star shape. We put the pipe through, then cable tied that on nice and neatly. You could probably use some heavy duty tape as well. That's the only entry point onto the whole thing. I could in time dig up a corner here and drain the surface water into it as well, but in reality we've got a drain that goes along and down into a watercourse, so all of the groundwater will probably stick to doing that. We just need to reroute the drain that's there. These are designed to take up to 60 tons per square metre, I think, something like that. So it's a pretty safe way to go, even if it had to be on a driveway. But in this case, like I've done, we could shunt it to one side, and maybe if you do need to put it in a driveway, put it into an area which is least trafficked. But I can only think of a few scenarios where I'd be concerned. If I had plenty of sub base on top, it should be okay, but you know, if you had a lorry with a hire putting its legs down or feet down, that exerts a lot of pressure in one place. And here are the crates. You can see that they've got an entry point here, and the other side it's slightly higher, so you could configure those however you want and you can lock them together. We did find that you have to get the base level for them not to rock and for them to knit together. We just put cable ties. I'm sure there's a certain way of locking them together, but this is not a long-term thing, and it was probably a bit overkill. We could have got away with a simpler option, but it just made sense to do a one afternoon project, and those crates allowed us to do that. Clean gravel is probably not that cheap either, so it was a good way to go. It meant we could do it in the afternoon. Soakaways are usually required for driveways and new surface water extensions, that sort of thing. So if you do need one, then it normally has to go through building regs. This isn't one of those situations, so there might be some finer details in that, like the backfill. This is just like sand, so I just used that around the outside. You might be better off using sort of pea gravel around the outside. And then we've ended up with 300mm type 1 on top, which I think is plenty, and I think is fine in most situations, but if I knew it was going to be in the middle, I would go thicker there. What it does mean is everything is all working and plumbed up, and it's just a bit of a neater job than it was going to be otherwise. I was hoping to finish this video with a lovely new gateway here, all with compacted gravel, but unfortunately they're not going to be here until Tuesday. We're wet and soggy and we want our chocolate biscuit, so we're going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time. Come on, you.